here for you guys to go. So we're just gonna run through some things and then when he gets here. Thank you.
Correspondence, animal control, fire, Mackin, and zoning. It's all in the packet here. Does anybody have any questions on any of those correspondence? If not, we'll move on. Tri-County Borough Banquet is November 21st, 2019 at Dunleavy. LSA Review Committee, dates and times for presentation. I think that's in it too?
The dates are December 2nd and December 3rd. December 2nd, the times are from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And December 3rd is from 8 o'clock to 11:30. Giving the presentation.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who's giving the presentation?
Pardon me?
Who's giving the presentation?
That's what I asked.
Oh, okay.
I think it would be better for.
I should have done that.
I mean, I think James should be here. I can agree. But I've had him before.
Well, he was there last year.
Yeah.
Steve, can you pull that string?
I know the board points to hit on it.
Thanks.
I know the board points to hit on it. So.
Okay.
Okay. But we have to pick the dates we want to. If you're asking, because I know we have to tell them when we'd like to. I'd like us to do it on the 3rd if possible, because I'm not going to be presenting with the CDC, but I'm already going to be up there on the CDC board. So I think Adele wanted some board to be there in the room. Any questions? So it's okay if you guys will double check the time. Adele has the CDC one scheduled for, and I can try and coordinate for a close time to that. It's okay with everybody else.
It's funny, yeah.
Yeah. She sent me an email today with the time, and I don't know what time it was. Okay.
Tourism grant for next year. The application is in your packets.
I'll obviously have to abstain from anything you guys do with that. You have to work on it.
Oh, come on.
Sorry, guys. Gotta stay above board. I'm respectfully asking, if we vote on any of that, I'll have to abstain on it also.
Mark, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
We will probably, for the museum committee, have our 501c within 2 months.
Okay.
Would we be able to?
Yes. Put in and make that part of it is when you expect to have it, and provided you have it by the cutoff time. I mean, you said 2 months. Simple. We'll probably be giving these grants out in January. So we got to get a better idea.
Yeah, I'm not
I mean, you
sure.
can always put it in if it's not available. We're doing probably three rounds of grants next year. This was the first year we did 2, but we're talking about 3 rounds. It was always one round. This is the first year of 2. It's as long as I know. And we decided to do 3 rounds. Simply because throughout the course of the year, people's projects change, something comes up. I mean, we ran into a couple years ago where Denora put in for something, and they wanted to put in, but it was 2 months after the deadline. It was actually a good project, but unfortunately it was well after our deadline, and we didn't have another round of grants. And we had several requests like that, so as time going on, we decided we're going to break it up to it looks like 3 times a year we're going to do it. But I would say, Vance, go ahead and put it together. If your 501c3 isn't available by then, you at least have it ready for the next time.
And when is the cutoff date here?
You know what, I don't remember what date we picked
I
that.
couldn't see it in here, actually.
I'll double.
Where is it?
Applications must be received no later than November 20th,
Okay.
2019.
Yeah. Go back.
Well, I believe you. I don't have to see it there. I just need some.
Okay, we'll wait for one of the other rounds
Okay.
then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mid-Mon Valley Transit Authority letter for review. Anybody have anything on that? What's that?
That just came in the mail today.
Janine asked if we could hear our guest speakers here first.
Denise.
I don't have a problem with that.
Janine asked me to come today to just give a quick update of where I'm at in the process. The chart of accounts, most of it has been realigned to the UCED format. So when you get your financials next week, you'll see that they are a lot cleaner and neater, and hopefully you'll be able to understand them better. I've been working with Roberta on training and to provide better reports for you, so she will be able to do some work on her own before she gives you the reports to find any discrepancies, if something's missing, maybe something was coded wrong. Doing a lot of other training with Roberta on how to enter the budgets, do deposits, back up with your deposits and filing, invoice templates and QuickBooks, how she can streamline some of her responsibilities. Can't really say too much since you don't have the financials in front of you tonight, but I just want to give you an update that it's coming along. There was about $19,000 in revenue that was duplicated from the way that she was entering, and we have fixed that, and she now knows how to enter deposits and invoicing and payments correctly. So that has been fixed. That's about it. We're moving along. We're still in the cleanup phase, but it's coming along good.
So you're saying it would be done for next week?
No, you'll get newer reports next week, but all the information hasn't been 100% confirmed and ready. We're still doing some reallocations. Like I found delinquent real estate taxes that was being coded to real estate transfer tax. So now we have that broken out, and Roberta understands how to code things a little better.
Anybody else
Just a
have
quick
anything?
update.
Any questions?
So there's 9 questions, so where would that put us in relationship to finishing the budget?
We're hoping to have the budget ready to be voted on at a regular meeting in December.
But we have to have, we need everything she's working on done before we finalize which we're going to present the budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep. So we can have real numbers that we're looking at.
So I guess my next question would be, you're saying in December, what realistic time do you think we'll be done with this? Do you think it'll be like by the end of November?
Probably early December with the holiday and Thanksgiving.
Okay. The only reason I asked that is if it was going to be the end of November, consider recessing our meeting next week if we had to go back, but if that's going to be till December, then let's go ahead and leave it alone.
I would like to have it, to be able to present it at the workshop meeting
Right.
and then vote on it at the regular meeting.
And that's what I was thinking, but I was thinking if it was going to be done at the end of November, we're going to recess it, present it, and it still
Right.
came back in December and voted on it. We could save ourselves a little bit of time in case there's anything we need to work on.
Yeah.
If it won't be done until the first week of December, then let's go ahead and go with the agenda.
We're hoping between her and Rebecca, if we can just get it done.
Okay.
We don't have to have a special meeting like we did last year.
Okay. That's my question.
Thanks, Denise.
Thanks, Liz.
You're up, Rebecca. Okay, so I was asked to be here this evening to give an update on where I'm at with the financial statements and the review. I've taken a look at 2019. Obviously, this has been a little bit like a shifting of sand because I originally looked at numbers that have since changed several times. The good news is that, and I've said this a couple of times, Denise's interaction has been a blessing and a curse in that I've had to go back and relook at things a number of times because they've changed, but a blessing because now I know that there are numbers that I can trust and that there's a format that makes sense. And I think that when you see your financial statements that you will understand them much better than you were able to understand the ones that preceded them. 2019, based on what I reviewed to date, is going to be a tight but good year for you. The actual 2019 budget had some flaws in it, but overall was a sound enough budget to pull you through a year. You definitely don't need an emergency plan to get through 2019, you're fine. Going into 2020, Denise and I have been working on some numbers for the budget. We do have a number of recommendations. I have a number of recommendations for 2020, things that certainly we can talk about at a future date. So 2020, in my opinion, is as soon as the numbers are cleaned up, I think that we will be in a position to meet with the Finance Committee and give you a sound budget for 2020 with some options to look at. Moving forward, obviously there's a team of people looking at moving forward. The financial piece is one piece, the management piece certainly is another. I think that the borough really needs to consider bringing in a manager full-time. And the good news there is that there are some funding sources through this program that can help you do that. I spoke with Mike Foreman this afternoon, and there is a grant, an implementation grant that gives you 3 years of a borough manager, first year 100%, and then 2 additional years at a decreasing salary. So something that we can certainly talk about and when we look at the budget. I know that Janine had asked me to speak a little bit about the Fair Labor Standards Act change for January of 2020. That change will impact the fire personnel that you have. You have a contract that states that he does not receive overtime. He's a salaried employee. His salary now is too low under the new FLSA regulations to not get overtime. So you're either going to have to give him overtime or you're going to need to raise his threshold to the FLSA level. I can provide you with that documentation if you'd like to see it.
I'd like to see that.
I have it.
Solicitor did as well.
Okay,
I have
thank you.
it.
Okay. So if there are any questions I can answer, I'd be happy to. I appreciate Roberta working with me. Thank you for your help.
Sorry, I couldn't give you those answers today, though.
That's okay.
I only, did you get both emails I sent you?
I got the one on the police. Did you send me anything else after
I
that?
sent you another one, explaining the other insurances.
Oh,
Maybe you
okay.
didn't get that one.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, but I'll take a look at it. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So is there any question I'm going to have is similar to the last question. Obviously, you're not going to be able to have your final numbers until Denise has done her stuff, correct?
Yes, I mean, I think we all have to be on the same
Right,
page,
I agree.
right? Whatever page that is.
So I guess my question would be, again, gets back to the budget question. What, the time she has her numbers, and she has her stuff together, how much longer do you think it will take before you'll be able to put all yours together so we'll be sure we'll go on our budget?
So Denise and I have been actually working pretty well together and closely together. So we've been sharing information back and forth. I would imagine that unless there's some dramatic change coming forward in the next couple of weeks, we should be in sync within a day or two of each other.
Good, thank you.
I would just like to follow up on a comment. Talking to Berta just a second ago, just being mindful, our next 2 meetings are December 4th and 11th. We may want to try to keep another date available. If the budget numbers come back the first week and we need additional time to work on it, council may want to reconvene in a special meeting or adjourn the 11th meeting, perhaps the following Wednesday, just so we have time to meet ECD deadlines for budget approval, if there would be a tax adjustment. Notices.
Wednesday, because the police meet.
The police meet that evening?
Yeah, so that's they do the next day, Thursday.
So I would just,
It would have to be Tuesday or Tuesday.
advise council to be looking at an available date should it go beyond the 11th.
And I would just suggest to save us advertising the recess instead of adjourn.
Let's say adjourn, I meant recess.
I thought you did, Dave.
You said.
And I wasn't going to correct you, let you correct yourself.
Mark would not correct it.
You I won't correct.
That's
right.
Jerry, I'll correct, you I won't.
Ike, did you get that on video?
No. I'm giving him a finger, you just don't.
I got you out of it.
Recess, not adjourn.
I wasn't going to correct it, I was just reminding them, not you.
And I just want to give you, hi everybody, want to give you a quick update on the rest of the strategic management planning program. So as part of our group, Harry Frick, who some of you may have met, he's reviewing the regional police. Harry's done an analysis of the man hours, scheduling. He's looked at the incidents and a couple other things, and also the budget. He's also waiting for some numbers to come in to help him for the final budget for the police. But he's been working on that, so he's going to continue to do that. Our end of things, we're for the planning and economic development piece. We're looking at not only regional and shared services, that analysis is being done. We're also looking at, with the help of Bob, we went out and spent a couple days in the community, identified abandoned, vacant, and blighted structures. Now, keep in mind, we can use the definition of blighted that the state's using, but we can't actually sit here and classify them. That has to be done by a board or someone appointed by the community if they were to do that. So we're just making recommendations that these could be blighted structures. I think we found well over 200 in the community. It was pretty eye-opening. So there's a number of things, and again, some things that we need to talk about, strategies moving forward. We did meet with the business owners, business and industry owners. We met with them Monday morning. We had about 18 or so people there. We had a very good discussion. We talked about everything from why people were locating and why they did locate into the borough, some of the obstacles, that may be preventing them from expanding or being sustainable. Talked about good things too. We talked about the assets in the borough. Talked a little bit about sense of place too. One of the things that came up was, we talked about everything from what does Magic City mean anymore. So it seems like that Charleroi is kind of losing that sense of place. And when you think about it, when you're competing against other communities to try to get people to come into your community, they're looking for that. What's there? What does Charleroi have that can track us and keep us there? So that's something that we're going to need to talk about moving forward, and we're trying to identify right now some of the strategies. I have put all that information together. It's the raw data right now. What I'll do is I'm going to clean it up. I'll get it to Roberta, and she can email it out to you. You guys can all take a look at the results from that meeting. One thing that we may want to talk about is, should we, again, there were probably about 10 business owners. I had delivered over 120 of those in town, and we had about 10. Does it make sense to maybe get them a survey for them to get back? It's something that we need to talk about. Do you think that information is important enough to talk to your business community about? Other than that, things are moving along. We're still on schedule with things, and so if there's any questions you have for myself or Rebecca, I'd be glad to answer them. If not, we'll keep you updated every way we can.
Hey, Dan, I was at, Hawkfall was up at the school yesterday, and we were talking about the Halloween parade night, because we had him here and had him in one city. He said Charleroi did a heck of a lot better than they did in one, because people were bringing up about, remember you said about one city was up and coming and everything? Yeah. And he said, as a business person, he said he loves coming here because he does a better business here than he does in one city. So there's got to be something going on that, he's one guy, he comes a couple times a month for us. Got to be something here that we might be just missing something here to get us going here. But he said he's happy coming here. It's a lot better in one city.
Well, it's funny, since you mentioned that, two things. One on that, I have about 800 kids. Just to give you an idea, I passed out about 800 trees to give you an idea how many kids we had for. Do you have something as I'm thinking about when you mentioned Magic City? Do we want to consider? That's been our brand forever. Maybe we want to look at something. We just went through this tourism level, we just changed it. So maybe it might be something, and we've had that branding for years. So maybe something we might want to look at.
We talked about that.
Yeah, that would be a way. You're right. It was brought up that's a good point. We discussed a little bit earlier that maybe rebranding might not be a bad thing for the town.
And honestly, the exposure you get from it, now I'm going to go back to the tourism because we did a big promotion with it. And we actually, Chase, who does does a lot of our work in-house. He actually won an award for the new slogan, American Spirit was here. He actually won a pretty big award for it, and we got a ton of exposure. So not only do we get a brand, which really seems to be going well, but we've got free exposure from the press release and the media stuff we got. Something to think about, something else to think about.
But I do want to mention, though, that, even though we did talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, there is a lot of positive, and there's a lot to build on, and we need to keep that in mind, too, that as we move forward, that, the borough and downtown, there's a lot going on, and people are still, they want to come in, and they want to see, they do want good things for the town. So we'll keep building on that, in that direction.
Sorry I couldn't be there. I would have been 12 hours late. I thought it was 7 p.m.
There was a lot of people that did.
Yeah.
I told you that.
Yeah, I got a call. One thing I told Jamie, I was at work. It's about tied up things at work.
No problem.
But I got a call that night. Someone was actually a former councilman. He said, "Hey, I I want to meet you even at the meeting. I'm like, well, you're a few hours late this morning. He said the exact same thing when he called me.
Yeah, we were hoping to do it in the morning so that people could.
It was a good time,
before
but
they
honestly,
start.
I was sitting in my office desk.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, and things cut up and things.
He saw the state representative walk by.
Yeah, and I'm like, I didn't realize how late it got when I was there.
So, and again, if you guys need anything, you know how to get a hold of me or us, we're accessible, we'd be glad to answer anything.
Thank you.
Thanks. Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
For our speakers.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Take it off of the speakers.
All right, well, we'll go into discussion items. Audit for 2019 municipal audit. What do you got for us on that? Somebody?
Well, we still have to pick one, and, I mean, I'll stop putting it on there.
We have to pick an auditor. It's either ops or attorney. It's $100 difference. So we have to pick one.
So the price is not gonna be lower?
That was lower. That price was lower, couple $100. Do you know how much it was, Denise?
For
For Mark's, for you with Mark compared to
Yeah,
you without.
I don't know what the price difference was.
It was.
So, I guess my question would be, does the financial committee have a recommendation then? The financial committee is the ones who really work with the auditor the most.
I recommended attorney. And I had put it out there last week, or last month, as to why I recommended it.
Or was it else?
Well, we held off on it so we could hear from you. This
Well, I did, you know, I said that they worked with numbers that weren't correct, and they didn't correct them. They didn't look into it deep enough to correct them. And I have a little bit of an issue with that. Because I think that if they would have looked into it, they would have seen some of the things that Denise saw right off the bat.
So then your question is, what do they allow? Because that's what they should go catch.
I think that they should have caught things that they did not catch. So I'm not comfortable keeping them.
answer any questions that we had last month.
I mean, I said that last month.
You weren't here.
Eddie,
But that's what I'm saying.
well, I was,
Yeah,
for
question.
the agenda meeting, I
Answer
wasn't.
that answer.
And Eddie's worked with attorney, I mean, he knows from the water, I mean, from the, yeah, from, so,
The price difference is by $100. The, currently is 4,200 and ops is 4,100.
And have you been satisfied with them?
Transit Authority has,
Okay, they used them how long?
at least 5 years that I know of.
Well, leave it on there, put the names there, and vote on them. Yeah, put the names next to it so we know who they are, and we'll vote on it next week. Accessible parking at 821 McCain Avenue. I see the DJ okayed it. Anyone have any questions with it?
It's great land as well. She shakes real bad. She does rock the county.
Okay.
She's requesting a pay spot, that's what she got next.
Yeah, it doesn't say that there. I mean, you're saying, I didn't see the read the whole application.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
That what she's asking for, paid
For
spot?
pay side, yeah.
Okay. You said, make sure to have that as part of the motion.
Right. All right, invoice for strategy management planning program in the amount of $8,496.82. Questions on?
That's the invoice that we turned in for Martin Ave.
Right, I saw that in here. Any questions on that? No questions? Zoning amendment hearing, I'm not sure what that one is.
Well, beginning of next week's meeting, it's supposed to be the hearing for the zoning amendment. And I guess after that's over, we can approve it,
Well, there was,
or is it?
we had those notice requirements, so
Yeah, they've been
the
notified.
notices were,
They've been advertised.
I think we had 1 second meeting, so I think we'd have a hearing and then a final vote for adoption. So we can do,
Do the hearing next
Correct, and
week,
then-
and then vote on it in December. Okay.
What zoning issue?
that's for the churches and the business
For the
district.
JD, okay, because
Correct.
he called me today and I called him back and I didn't get a response.
I mean, it's not specifically, they'll benefit from the zoning change,
Okay, I thought that.
but it's just to bring the borough into compliance with federal law.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's all it's on there for discussion. Anyone else got anything to add?
Got 3 things. One, you said there's some funding available for the borough manager. I believe you said 100% the first year. What's the breakdown the next 2 years?
I am not clear on that.
Okay.
But it has, so I should tell you that it has to be a recommendation of the plan
Right.
in order for you to be able to get it. But it is a sliding scale for the next 2 years. It's probably 50-25.
I wasn't sure, 75, 50, or 2, 25, okay.
So what are they 100%, what would that be? At
The dollar amount you're
a
asking?
dollar amount?
Pardon me?
How much would that be paying them the first year, 100%? What would they give that? What we recommend to pay?
Yeah, it's going to be, as a part of your budget, that number would need to be assigned. So it would be what you believe is the right number.
I think what Jerry's asking is, do they have a cap on it?
Probably.
Well, I didn't know, I didn't know if
Probably.
it was just a flat, we're gonna pay 30 grand, 40 grand, and that's it. Or we'll give them 100 grand, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'll actually ask Mike if he can provide additional clarification on that for you, and send that to Roberta.
So Rebecca, you and I, Steve, and Marty, I believe, was here, sat down and we talked about your recommendation was a borough manager and that we need a street worker manager and that we could combine the two if we can find someone that would be willing to do that or can do it.
It's actually still my recommendation, and actually will be part of my narrative, that the Borough Council consider hiring a manager that has some boots on the ground or some experience with Public Works, because you don't have a supervisor for Public Works, and your contract at this point is kind of tying your hands behind your back because it requires you to promote from within to the position. I mean, that may be as simple as a sit down with the bargaining unit and a memorandum of understanding. But moving into the beginning of 2020, what makes sense is to try and take out both birds with the same stone. And that would be to find a guy or a girl that has some public works experience, that knows how you plow a road or how you pave a street, that can oversee public works as well as provide that public administration. The outward look is what I call it. Roberta's doing a fantastic job, but she can't do everything. She can't answer the phone and put together the agenda and do the minutes and collect the revenue and be the face and the voice of the borough. You actually need a manager to lead the borough forward.
But you're not recommending someone who'd be actually getting in, plowing, just straight management only?
If you're going to hire a manager, you're not hiring a public works employee.
Good. Okay, all right, we're on the same page. That's something we'll talk about with the person. Got some ideas. Vern and I are on the same ideas. Thanks. Vern and I talked a little bit, and then there's some stuff I want to go through. That is an idea that came to me. Came to us, I should say. She had the same idea.
Anyone else have anything?
Yeah, that was on that. Yeah, water authority appointment. Do we need to advertise that in November so we can appoint in December, right? One, was that Patrick's?
No, it's a
It was
post.
Patrick. We haven't gotten a letter from the water authority yet,
No,
have we?
we haven't.
We should get it by now. Yeah. But, we want to, I mean, it's been switched around so many different times over the years. Do we appoint them in December, or do we appoint them in January? We've done it both ways, we've been told to do it both ways.
To appoint in January.
But the problem is appointing in January, they miss their meeting.
I believe, yeah, I don't know when their meeting falls
Their meeting falls
relative to our first council meeting.
after
Tuesday.
We pass it?
Third Tuesday. It would be,
Before.
well, that's, but they are this year.
It's after.
After, so you could appoint in January. I believe the terms expire at the year end.
Well, that was the argument because of new people taking office, old people leaving. That was the argument the last time. They wanted to do it in December so the old people could vote on it, which I thought was wrong. You got new people coming in, you should let the new people vote on it.
We technically did have an election. It could conceivably, and congratulations, Nancy, Mark, Jer, for coming back.
Don't ever look at me and call me.
I know, but I'm looking at it out of the corner of my eyes.
But I don't blame you.
I appreciate it.
And I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Congratulations and welcome back. Conceivably, the board does change compositions. You have elected your board, which would conceivably be a majority, but your board's going to remain relatively constant. So I don't see a real threat of like a lane double where that would be an issue. So I think these councils would either appoint in December or appoint in January. If you want to wait until January, it sounds like the meeting follows. The authority meeting follows
No, I say-
as of
I
this,
think
as
it's a
of
good
this
idea
year.
to advertise and see if we have a problem. If only, say one person applies and that's the person there, that's a given. But if we have controversy, then we have to discuss, should we do it now or do it in January?
There's no harm waiting until January.
So we'll advertise, get a hold of them tomorrow and tell them to send you a letter for that. Or would you rather do that through Pappas, or would you probably didn't get a hold of him
I
today?
did not get it.
So how about you do, make that a double,
I'm making a double, 2 for 1.
2 for 1?
Make it 2 for
We'll
1.
find a third one, don't worry.
That was about what we talked about.
I got it covered.
You're coming. Awesome. Thank you.
And the only other thing I have is more of an executive session on personnel, discussing the interviews we did the other day. Oh, can I bring that one up yet? Oh, I thought I brought that one up. Okay, thank you. Glad I read my notes there. We need to make a decision on what we're gonna do about community days. Is it a one day? We keep the community, we can't go into January, February. I mean, the way everything got dumped last year, you know, Jen was kind of left holding the bag in February, because we thought things were, you know, I mean, obviously I wasn't here at that time, but things were being done, she got handed an empty bag.
No, we're gonna find somebody who's gonna run. So,
Okay. Didn't actually do it.
it's too much.
We have,
The first thing we need to find out is what we want to do and when, and we'll worry about that after, that's fine.
we have, Mark and I discussed it, and we kind of have save the date part ready to go. We just need to know when, we need a date.
What is it?
Well, we don't know the date. Marty and I talked actually the other night, a little bit during trick or treat. One of the things him and I talked about was, we all know Monongahela holds the 4th every year. We don't want to compete with that. It's crazy.
Well, I disagree with that because it's on Saturday this year, and everyone always complains, why don't you do it on Saturday? Or why don't you have it actually on the 4th? And it is Saturday the 4th this year.
Okay, but let me finish what I'm saying, Jared. We want to go to consistency, because you don't want to have it the 4th, which is Saturday this year, and then people have to look at when it's going to be. And that's the beauty of what, and I give Monongahela a lot of credit. And we don't have to do an all-day event, but they know it's always the 4th. So if you don't want to, I don't think you compete with them. Why not the 3rd, and then make it a 4 to 10 o'clock? Okay, or if you don't want to do it the 3rd, it's community days, it's not 4th of July event. There's nothing to stop us from moving it, this is Marty and I talked about the other night. There's nothing to stop us from moving it a week out, it's community days. You're gonna have an easier time getting volunteers, because not everyone's tired of family picnics. You're gonna have more people in town. I mean, look at the firemen, I talked to Bob, his guys are tired, we try and ask him to help, he wants to have a booth. They can't always have the people there, because it's 4th of July, people are tied up. Right, So maybe if you move it a week, now you're getting cheaper fireworks, because top price for fireworks is July 4th and July 3rd. You move it out a week. Maybe we make it consistently every year, we're the first Saturday after the 4th of July. I'm just throwing a date out there, just throwing an idea out. But this is our chance, getting back to the rebranding we talked about, this kind of falls hand in hand with that. Let's brand ourselves. Let's pick a date. Everyone knows.
Why does it have to be in July?
It doesn't. It absolutely does not, Roberta. You're 100% correct.
And we talked about
We
doing
can pick anything we want. You're 100% correct.
well, we
Pick
talked
whatever we
about
want.
doing Halloween and that together.
The only problem with going too late, you gotta watch this weather.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's 100% right. It doesn't have to be July. Maybe we do it, at some point in August. We just need to pick a date and start moving forward with it. And honestly, right now, I'm just looking for input. But I agree, it doesn't have to be July, it doesn't have to be right then. Do we want to have fireworks on the 4th? Sure. People at this point, we don't have it on the 4th, but we can't go in the hole every year because we're trying to provide fireworks for people's parties.
Right.
And we can't beat ourselves up every year because everyone here has been down there volunteering. We all know it, and we all take away from our family time. Okay? And we need people like the firemen to help us. We can't keep leaning on them for these holidays to help us. They have to be able to have their lives too. So I'm looking for ideas on dates.
I like the August thing. I like right in the middle of the month, August 16th or 15th. It's in the middle of the month, it's after July.
Third week in August is usually covered week.
That's September. That's
Yeah,
September. Yeah, September. Yeah, August is not real bad as far as.
Don't you have more people on vacation making that last minute run?
You're always gonna have
before
something.
school starts?
Right, you always have
Yeah,
something.
it's over.
And it's
And I
that,
also.
So why don't we beat everybody and have it before everyone else?
I also want to ask about
fireworks.
movie night. I can't continue to do it by myself.
Right.
And we were supposed to have sponsors this year that never happened, and we only had 4 this year. So do we want to continue to do it?
How much does it
People
cost
like it.
you that a sponsor would pay out?
300.
And we never had more than 12 kids.
12
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Eddie's usually there.
I think one of the major concerns that was brought up is the fact that the parents leave and
Let their kids run.
let the kids run and,
Okay.
why is Roberta or whomever responsible, it's not a babysitting service here.
No.
Well, let me jump back though, because it's a good point, but let's focus on the community days for a moment. We have a little more time to work on the community night, but lining up vendors and figuring out things, we need to make a decision now. We need to have to pick a date now. I mean, this has to be set next week, and so if everyone wants to think about a date. we
Well,
need-
Saturday before.
You want to stick with Sarah, that's fine, so we just pick what month, what you want to have a Saturday, it doesn't have to be, let me say the 4th, it doesn't have to be. I mean, how many communities still have fireworks on the 4th?
But if we go later, Jared, Mark's right, we're gonna have a little less expense with fireworks because it's after the 4th.
Right.
So we're gonna get a discount, a little bit of a discount because everybody's not rushing into that 4th of July. So I would think that having it after that, thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks.
see ya.
Having it after that would be a smarter thing to do.
In like August 15th,
That's what I'm
that's the
saying.
middle
Middle
of
of the month.
Second Saturday?
the 3rd Saturday, actually.
So, again, back to the branding, make ourselves, this is the yearly community days, the 3rd Saturday of every August.
And that's like a bam for the kids before they go back to school.
Right, right.
Have it, you know what I mean?
Thursday would be Kennywood Day, right?
Correct.
Um,
Okay. Kennywood's the second Thursday.
yeah, it would be the Thursday right before Kansas.
Yeah, Kennywood's second. I mean, whoever wants to think about that date, maybe if you have a different date, maybe send it out to Roberta this week and we can kind of email back and forth and work on it, but I just think we have to do something moving forward.
Is that something we need to vote on?
I think we should at the beginning, yes. I think we need to pick the dates. And I think we need to.
Now, if we're only gonna do it one day and a half a day, you can do the 3rd
What?
July. Just Do it
but it's still not alleviating any expenses for us.
It's not that, it's not alleviating the problem of getting people to work and volunteers.
Right.
And the vendors.
That's a big
The
deal.
vendors, a lot of, if you want to get vendors, even the churches and whatnot, you want to get from volunteer groups. It's tough to get those people because of the 4th of July holiday. It really, it's very hard.
And I think just one day is fine.
It is, I agree with you.
One day is enough.
One day is
2 days is
sufficient.
too much.
So I think we need to narrow it down to a month, July or August, and then everybody can tell Roberta.
I like your idea of doing it after Kennywood because then we can kind of promote it a little bit. And it is, you're right, it's kind of a last hurrah before the kids go back to school.
Right.
Yeah, sure. there
And
may
it
be-
can continue to be a community
That last
meeting
hurrah.
the weekend after, the Saturday after Kennywood.
You're right,
Right.
exactly.
Because they're going to Kennywood as a community, and then they're coming here.
Wow, you just hit something, Roberta. Maybe we make it that Saturday after Kennywood Day, because it's already
I like that.
Charlotte Community Kennywood Day,
Right.
so it's all tied in together.
And extend it.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I like that even better. So make it this, we already know that that's really good, because it'll be easy for people to remember too, because it's the same week as Kennywood.
Right, yeah.
Bob, just, because when we, obviously, what's your fireman thought, what's your thought on that? Do you think that's a hectic
Be
time?
better than a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your thought on, since it's already tying as a community day thing?
I was just talking, the race, the Little Great Races, the Bosch, from what I understand, because they're losing, they lost a lot of volunteers.
No, it's not kibosh yet.
I've heard rumors of it. I was just telling Matt, maybe that,
False rumor. There's
is there another group?
there's a group that is working with the existing group to pick it up.
Okay. I was just saying, maybe have a race that day.
No, I mean, that could,
You see, Pittsburgh has a lot of community stuff. They always have a 5K race or a 2K race or something.
now, unless something changes, actually, there's gonna be a meeting next couple of weeks on
Okay.
that.
All right.
But the existing group has been talking to a few people, that they'll assist. They just don't want to, they don't have the manpower, and they've been doing it for all these years, so they basically want to turn it over.
Okay.
And they've already been talking to some people about turning it over. I'm glad you're knowing about that, because I wanted to ask one of the people about that when the meeting
It
was.
would be nice if you had some sort of event, like a little great race or something, maybe that morning, that would already bring
The
people in.
the problem is
Long day.
there's so many races at this point.
Well, I mean, not necessarily
Yeah.
race, but
And that's one that, I mean, although we don't have the 800 to 1,000 we had about 4 or 5 years ago for the race, when that race started, it was the only one. There are now, I believe, 13 races. And it may be moved possibly, has been talked about moving 1 week because the Erie Marathon is now the same week. And a lot of people who used to run here are now running the Erie Marathon, which are using the Erie Marathon as a qualifier for the Boston Marathon. Didn't know all that, did you?
Well, then why,
Chris Buckley filled me in on all that stuff.
then why don't we talk to, they had a nice turnout, and they get free music. Do it the same day that they're doing it.
That's what they're doing
They do
October.
it in October.
They,
You don't want to do it in October, it's too cold.
You just don't know what the weather's gonna be out there.
I know, it
It
was.
was gonna rain, it was, it's gonna rain. I mean, hell, we could have snow in
I
October.
I
don't
really
think
like
it should be late, that late.
I like
And
Roberta's
August,
date.
if they have the, the fall festival.
I was just trying to think, they have.
August
they have the
isn't blistering
already.
hot either. You're not freezing, you know.
I like Roberta, and she said that, it's just kind of a
Yeah.
light bulb, but I like that, doing it that Saturday after Kennywood, and ties into a community. Now we have a community thing.
I have to agree with Mark.
Yeah.
I'm with Brad.
Like I said,
I
that
don't
was-
have anybody else's thoughts. Those are mine.
Well, let's pencil that in to see if anyone has any other date they prefer, and I think we have to vote on it and start planning it now for next year. Maybe it's just-
Who you, in middle of February.
We'll tie that in somehow too, I guess.
Okay. And the only other thing I have is personnel, that I think we need to talk about some stuff like we did during interviews the other day.
Go ahead.
just wanted, Joanne asked me to just reiterate that the Veterans Day parade's this Saturday. Lineup starts roughly about 12:30. Fire trucks and huge vehicles will be lined up from Second Street out. Everybody else will meet Mark in the parking lot, like at the end of the corner fence there, right? Is that where you're gonna be?
That's right. The Boston Way, the corner of Boston, we turn into the parking lot, I'll be there directing people. There's gonna be different zones, everyone should be getting a map. There was, I believe, email or call to them.
He's bringing a bunch of them
Okay.
out.
There'll be different zones set up. When they get to the spot where I'm standing, I'll have a number to give them. That number will tell them where they are on the parade and which zone they go to. And there'll be someone corresponding to each zone to let them know where they're at. So I believe there's 6 zones, 7? Whatever zones, there'll be one person in each zone, ready to help direct them there. And they'll have a number, and that makes it easy.
9
9
zones?
zones?
Well, I don't know if that's technically zones, but they kind of had it broken down into, like, each, you know how the parade's always, everybody from this town, everybody from this town, and that's kind of the way this is broken up. But, roads close at 1:30, parade starts at 2. We'll have 2 guys from the street that'll be closing and opening the streets as quickly as possible. The vans, the buses, and vans are gonna be parked down Fallowfield Pat, like where Lee Norris is back that way. So when the bus, or when the vans finish, instead of them turning down Second Street, they're gonna just march straight out Fallowfield and get right on their buses and go. Bobby said he figured most of the fire trucks would just, you know, see the time. What?
Lee Supply, correct?
Yeah.
Lee Supply, you said Lee Norris.
Oh,
He's like, Lee Norris?
it's one of those Lincoln.
Lee Supply.
Yeah, like down there, you know, down there.
I wasn't correcting you either. Again, only correct Jerry.
We have at least 100 units coming. Looks like it's going to be a really nice parade. The weather's supposed to
Cooperate.
be okay, cooperate, yeah. So, there's a new lineup.
What happened with the walkie-talkies?
They
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 were.
actually, she drove there up to the
Mr.
elementary
Jericho,
center.
I was at the elementary center talking to her in the
I
office.
just asked, maybe it's because we're down in that hole at Mingo, but we have a repeater down there.
Yeah.
You know, they stood on the building.
Yeah, because I kept driving through town on 6th Street, now I can hear you.
Can you-
I'm on 4 now, can you hear me? And I get to the high school, and she was like, can you hear me? And she says, yeah, where are you? I said, at the high school. She was like,
And you got
"Wow."
tired of hearing her
I
turn
couldn't
her off,
believe
right?
that. I couldn't
No,
believe
I
that.
turned it off there.
That's how far.
Yeah, they actually finally got back to me with a price 3 days ago, just if they wanted to work. Because they called me, but they were still working
Oh.
the price. But what was,
And she found a ton of the neon vests, and they were a little bit smelly, so I took them home and washed them. They're in the back of my car. There's enough for
Everybody will.
everybody.
but they, if we would have had to rent them, just from us knowledge, it would have been $12 a day for the walkie-talkies. And if we needed the repeater, it would have been 100.
Which we would have needed. $12 per walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
And there's, what, 6
That's
of
a
them,
lot of
or
money.
8?
Yeah.
There's 6 or 8.
There's
But fortunately, you don't have to worry about that.
there's 8.
Yeah, they were in Greensboro. Bear or something or other.
And we have permission to use parking lot between golf and water company, and we have permission to use the old Magic City lot for all the big trucks, the fire trucks and stuff, so we should be good to go.
Okay,
I have one thing.
I do too.
As I said, with the flag program, we raised $880, 440 of which was made as a donation to the Veterans Council. So we originally said, and I did talk to Stephen, and he does remember, and I talked to Mark, and he remembers, that we did talk about bringing the students down and you know, it was going to cost some money along with giving them a lunch. So, you know, it may not have been in the notes.
It was actually talked about that they would have to pay for a substitute teacher, I believe.
Right.
And $140 also to go to the.
Yeah, but
we
it was
can
also
breakfast.
said about a lunch, because Stephen said he remembered it, and Mark said he remembered it, so it was said. So anyway, as we know, yesterday, okay, when we back up, the students were not coming down because of the fact that the teacher felt it was too cold. And so I got a big roll of paper, rather large, from, in Roscoe.
Same paper.
Yep. Okay, so the students are painting on the paper. I'll pick up the paints tomorrow, their pictures, and I will distribute them to where they're going. So that leaves us with not having to have the expense of busing them down here, paying for a substitute, and buying them lunch. So, yes, we do have the Fitz crew. They were here yesterday. They did a lot of work. They were here today. Okay, yesterday I did use the credit card. Today I paid for that. Yesterday I paid for the visit for them, and I paid the tip to our members. I am asking that I be reimbursed the $21.67 I paid today. And I personally, my own opinion, I don't see where it hurts to give them a lunch. They're coming here doing all this extra work. That's my opinion. I would like to, now tomorrow, I think we're going to have anywhere from 3 to 5. You know, I think it's a lot of goodwill on our part that we are providing them with a lunch.
My only issue, and I told you that I would chip in to pay for that. My only issue, and Jerry and I talked about this, is that we could use them for so many other things that need to be done. And they are not easy to get. And Jerry brought up a good point. He said, was this a waste of an opportunity for these guys?
Okay, he told me that, and I'm going to disagree with this because of one thing. We have the Veterans Day parade, and I took the effort, I'm not patting myself on the back, please don't misunderstand me, but I took the effort to bring them here to help our guys to make sure our town shines. If you want to have them here to do the playgrounds, I don't have a problem with that.
Me
But
too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to know, like, what all you having them do.
Well, let her finish what she
yeah,
said.
let me finish. I feel if you want them to do the playgrounds, I don't have a problem with that. But do that at another time. I brought them here.
We don't know if we'll be able to get them another time. That was my problem.
Well, I didn't have a problem getting them,
Well,
and I got them more than they were supposed to be coming.
And my problem is, we have a street crew that were told to do those playgrounds, and they look like shit.
Well, that
Because
isn't
they were
an
never-
issue, but that isn't an issue for this right now.
well, the thing is, this isn't the
Well,
first
I just
time.
wanted to put that out
This
there.
isn't the first,
Okay, I'm not gonna debate that issue right now.
this isn't the first parade we've had for the veterans in our town. We have it every 3 years. We have it every 3 years. or
No,
so.
we don't have it every 3
5
years.
years.
Maybe it's 5, okay, I thought it was every 5 years, but our town always looks clean. We've never had a complaint about it. And it's like,
But we've had more people working at that time also.
The only things I would jump into on that, you're correct, it's been clean, but they are expecting a larger crowd this year because of the 100th anniversary. So it's a chance, again, let's go back to the branding, give it a more cleaner look. I will slightly disagree with you as far as the Fitz crew. You said that 2 or 3 years ago, Lou Long, I agree with you, agree. They're making them more available during the week. I just had this conversation because I'm looking to getting another apartment. And remember, when we first started this program here, they were only doing it on weekends. And it was hard. You had to book 6 months in advance to get them. Now, I understand they're not always readily available, but they make them available 6 days a week or 7 days a week at this point. They never used to do that.
Well, like now, we have a small crew because of what we're using them for.
Right, I agree.
If we had a bigger project, they'd probably send 8 or 10 of them.
No, now, wait a minute, yesterday we did have 8, and that was all, did we have 8?
We had 8 yesterday and today.
Yeah, okay, we had,
And there's gonna be 7 tomorrow.
well, they told me, yeah, you're right.
Jerry, these two guys have to go. I have a meeting to go to, and I don't mean to interrupt. We had a catastrophic event in Charleroi, and the firemen answered the call. We owe them an awful lot. I know this isn't a regular meeting. I understand that. But they worked their tails off, going in the homes, opening them up, getting them aired out, flushing out drains. I know what we do if I were a fireman. And I'm a little disappointed that somebody here didn't recognize that, because they went out for us big time. Also, our street crew worked very hard, as you know. They're understaffed and underpaid, but they worked hard.
It's
And
not
we
a
should
regular
recognize
meeting.
the good things we have, and our firemen are one of them.
But I'm just saying, Mr. Jerry, that it isn't our regular meeting, and that probably would have been covered next week
I hope
under
so.
the fire committee.
Right,
Thank you, Mr. Yoy.
thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that would have been brought up hopefully.
But since he did, I mean, you guys, I mean, that could have been a disaster, you know, we talked about it.
We still having problems.
I know.
I think it was with me yesterday, we still having problems.
Hey, Bob, can you call me tomorrow?
I'm working tomorrow.
Me too.
Yeah.
You working? You working tomorrow?
Yeah, he wants a call too.
Oh, okay, all right.
Call me tomorrow, too.
Me too.
Jody called me today, I'm off, I'm not calling you.
I didn't know you were
No,
on
I'm
today.
Mr. Yoy, in response, yes, you're, and believe me, we talked about, we definitely want to acknowledge this. That could have been bad. And I appreciate you pointing out now, we already pointed out again next week.
Ray and Roberta really had it.
And thank you for reminding us, Mr. Gary, but I want to say this.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
They
no,
were
no.
leaving.
They were at the
Yeah.
meeting, that's what I was trying to get his attention.
No, thank you for doing that. But to wind this up, Earl asked me what I need them for, and I talked to TJ as to what we can have them be doing. Now, tomorrow, I have ready for them what they're to do, and Friday, I have ready for them. Now, it may come that they are not going to be here tomorrow. It is not definite. But, you know, that's all, you know,
They said if it rains, they won't come, or they'll come for a half a day.
that's what it's
And
going to
that'll be
probably
it.
be, at
Right,
least
is
a
a
half a day. Possibly not if they get backed up wherever at the
Right.
food banks and that. But he said Friday they will be here, Monday they will not be here, Tuesday they can be here. If I need them Wednesday, he said they can be here for Wednesday. My point is this, and I'm not disrespecting you in any manner, I'm saying at this point, I have things that I would like them to do based on what I talked to TJ with. So I don't want to send them to the playgrounds because I feel we have things for them to do.
Well, this is what you brought them here for, was for this. So
That's
you're
right.
sending them somewhere else, that's not even an option.
No, I thought Jerry said send them to the
No, 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 no,
playgrounds.
no.
I said I
He
would have
said-
liked that, seeing them do the playgrounds.
Right.
And that's,
He,
I said I
what
would
you
have
said
liked,
this afternoon is that you would have, you know.
I would have liked to seen them do the playgrounds. That's
He
exactly,
said,
I know what
could
I
they
said.
do the playground?
Yeah, I said, that's the
Well,
kind
no.
of people we bring, a harder job, a maintenance job, than sweeping the streets. You know,
Well-
because our guys have a hard time cutting the hillsides, because they only have basically two
But
guys that do it.
Okay, so that's a conversation for another time. Right now, they know what they're to do, My point is this. I personally would like to provide them, now tomorrow we're not providing for lunch. I don't, that's my personal opinion. I appreciate their coming here and helping us. I'm saying the money was raised by the flag committee. We're getting a break not having to pay the school, but I would like to ask that we give the school a donation for painting.
Nancy, the only reason I questioned it was because everybody is saying we need to cut on spending. So I do my job and I ask a question and I upset you, and I'm sorry. I didn't realize that we got a break on the school. If you want to use that money towards lunch, I don't have a problem with it, if it's okay with them. But I was just doing my job, questioning spending
Well, what
like
I
I'm
said
supposed to.
was, when I said it to you, you didn't
Because
say
you
it.
told me that Janine approved it, and
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that that's what it was. I'm not gonna say, well, no, you can't do it because Janine said it was okay to do.
What was
I
said
have to ask
was,
questions.
go ahead, if you need to use the credit card, since you don't want to use your own money, when we have our meeting, we'll discuss it, and if everybody disagrees with paying for them to eat, then we would reimburse you. That is what we spoke about.
Okay, that's not a problem.
Okay, well.
But I wish
so
you would have
far-
called me, since my name was brought into it, instead of calling him. That's all I'm saying.
She did.
Well, who
She
called?
talked to, I told you, that she talked to Jody, and Jody called me and asked me if I knew about it, and I said, well, we had the discussion the previous day, that you asked me, and I said, me personally, I would have bought him lunch, the last day I would have bought him a nice lunch, is exactly what I said. I didn't say buy him lunch every, and I did,
Well,
you said you were
Tom-
gonna buy him lunch yesterday, I'm like, why would you buy him lunch on the first day they're working here? Let's buy him lunch on the last day they're working here,
Yeah,
and
but we
make it a
never-
nice
we
lunch.
never-
That's all I
Do
said.
you remember
They
when
were
we used to
here.
bring them in to work at the coil, and we always.
Well,
let
here's,
them run.
here's one of the reasons why you do it that way though. You're not having the same people every day. So someone who works the first day might not be here for that last day. That's true. So you're not, so I get what, if you have the exact same people working every day, Jerry, you do, right? But you don't have the same people that are be there. So from that premise, and this is money, we're using money, not budget money.
Taxpayer
We're
money.
we're not using taxpayer, we're using money that was geared towards
Alright.
things for the parade. This is part of the parade function. How much money is in the account, Nance?
Well,
spend?
440 was our share of the,
Okay,
880 total was raised.
so 440 was left over to go towards promoting, cleaning, for whatever the parade involves. How much do you plan on spending right now for the lunches total?
Yes, today was only $21.
So it was 60.
Yesterday was
But they
70.
gave you a discount,
Well,
right?
he gave
Yes, he
me
did.
a business discount and tax exempt.
So even if you buy it
And
most
Justin
days,
did give us a discount also.
you're looking at 2 more lunches?
One.
One?
And it may not even happen, because if it rains
Well-
tomorrow, they're not coming.
No, no,
she said they might-
Friday.
she said Friday, but
they're
she said they might
coming.
come back
Tomorrow is definitely not a lunch. Friday, they will be here, and Tuesday they
So
will be here.
potentially 2 more lunches we're talking,
Correct.
correct? So we've spent about $82 so far. Let's just say for the sake of argument, you go that high, you're looking at $160, you know, and she spent 60 and 20.
70 and 20, 67.
67.
Okay, so you
I
spent
paid
90.
the tip.
So at the most, we're looking at, and if you go over a high price, which you don't have to.
200.
Yeah, you're looking under
They're
200.
not even, yeah.
Okay, so $200, it's not borough budgeted money, it was parade budgeted money, so you're still gonna have 200 left out of that. And how much did you want to donate to the school? Because it should come out, has to come out of that same
Whatever's
fund.
left.
Well,
Do you want to do that?
Well,
Yeah,
let's
I-
hold off
I was
before
going
you-
to say 100.
hold off before you say, because I got another idea I want to talk to you about later. Because I think my kind of fall under maybe executive session, yeah, I think, yeah, I can squeeze in there.
Okay.
I got my wheels in something like that. So
I would
you're looking for
like-
100 for the school?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would
Okay.
like 100. He has
So
20
we have-
pictures on pictures.
So we have about 100 left over, right?
Right.
Okay, what did we say?
If lunches are 200,
The
we're paying
max-
100 to the school, we have $140 left.
140 left, okay, that's fine, leave that there for now.
Okay.
Okay,
Unless Gary?
as I said,
It's not borough money, so
I paid the
it's
tip
donated.
and I paid their dessert yesterday. Today, I put it on my credit card. So whatever I'm asking this group.
I'm not asking for my $8 back in chips, I'm just saying.
No, I'm not asking for yesterday's stuff
Just
back.
saying.
I'm asking this group, what do you want to do? I would like my 21 back.
I would think you put that as a reimbursement, and then I think we should cap it out, that no more total spent for all lunches, $200.
That's
And
reasonable.
that's the maximum amount. So if you
Okay.
spend less than that, that's more money back for, we still have 100 for the school, and then and the other for full time.
So you have $100 for two more days
All
for
right,
them to eat.
all right.
Subway only costs 22, I can go there.
Is she getting her $21 back? I'll give it to her tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Shoo.
No.
Okay, is it my turn?
Steve.
Okay.
Cities.
Oh.
I don't want to put it on you, so if you want me to do it, I will. But we need contact information, they already have it, so you can either contact them or I want to contact them. We are paying an outrageous fee to PAMS to collect for us.
That's why I asked.
2.5%,
Yeah.
That's what
why
they
I
get on
asked if we
every
put on the
bill.
Keystone.
which is outrageous,
And they're useless.
and they're useless. So, this
And
was
that's
part
not
of,
nice.
this was part of our budget meeting about that fee. So, it can be either renegotiated with Pam's, or you had already gotten a quote from Keystone.
Keystone.
Right, and it was substantially lower.
I believe it was.
Can you, for next week, have
that quote
as
from?
much information, Keystone Collections,
Keystone,
to have as
they
much,
already collect our
I
main.
would say you have to
Right.
go with them already.
so if you can get as much information for us for next week, so we can vote on that and put it on the agenda, because it's ridiculous. They're getting almost $5,300 that they're making on our garbage bill, that they takes approximately 5 minutes to do, which is,
And then after you pay a
Ludicrous.
bill, they tell you that you never paid it.
and well, they're.
Well,
they're
they used
not
to be much,
doing it.
first, just for everyone's knowledge, when we first got involved with them years and years ago, they were very efficient, and at that point, they started an office of minority health. They were very efficient on getting things done, and there was, where we're collecting 90% of garbage now, with the collections, we were probably only 80%. So they actually definitely made it worthwhile, but they were a lot easier to deal with that too. It's another world now.
How much are we're talking about that kind of stuff, what do we pay for the people who do payrolls?
We can't take the payroll off.
I can't really think about,
We're not taking the payroll off of them.
What do we pay? That's what I asked. I didn't say take it
But
off
is
of
it-
my ass.
It fluctuates every month,
Yeah,
it depends on.
It depends on how many checks are printed, how many deductions. It fluctuates, it's like 100.
There is so much detail in our payroll, and any police department's payroll. It's insane. How I only
I
have,
wouldn't suggest changing that.
I only have 15 payrolls to do, and
It was just
it's
brought
so
up to
many
me
different
by,
classes.
it was just
It's
brought up to
crazy.
me by
I get
somebody
12.
that knows how to do that and said, you should probably start doing that and save yourself a lot of money.
Well, I brought that up.
In-house,
Yeah, no. I had brought that up. I brought that up the
Yeah.
first year I started here.
and
Roberta said, here, this is what's all involved. I do payroll. That's what I do.
I do 12 of them, I wouldn't want to turn that over to her.
yeah, please
No,
don't.
no.
Okay, what else?
I guess we're gonna have to do that in executive session. I guess we're gonna have to do all of this in executive session.
Guess that's where we go.
That's where we're going, folks. Won't be no vote. We're going into executive session. Thanks for your time. See you next week.
Thank you.
Unless you want to sit out in the hallway.